Dr. Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa, white wedding, traditional wedding, what's the difference?
White wedding, first of all, according to Wikipedia, was mentioned when Queen Elizabeth, I think Queen Victoria, wedded in a church in England with a white gown. It is an English thing, not even a European thing. It's an English thing. Since England has influence over the world and has a Commonwealth nation, they transferred their culture in most of their former colonies. So the Commonwealth is a very broad body that covers so many countries across the globe. And Cameroon, being an African country, which are also part of the Commonwealth, adopted that culture. But the originality of the African traditional marriage did not have that concept in the very beginning. You and I knew that children who got married in our villages in those days, they will move to certain compound with just sometimes a bunch of plantain, a chicken, and definitely a bottle of red oil, and then they sit there.
The parents will bless them.
Parents will bless them, and then they will go and start a family. Marriage was very cheap and easier. The reason why this issue of white wedding also spread because the church adopted it and made it as if it was a church wedding.
Is it biblical?
White wedding is not biblical. White wedding isn't a church wedding. White wedding is European wedding that was coined under religion and brought to Africa. And since Africa so much loved God, they embraced the religion with that concept that was embedded in it. It's like serving you a package of bread, putting mayonnaise inside. That bread is what you are looking at, but inside the bread is mayonnaise. So they gave us religion, and inside religion, because I've read the Bible back to back, I'm talking as a clergy, there is no portion of the Bible where you see the word white wedding. There is no event of white wedding in scriptures. Even the Jewish weddings that took place were from a traditional point of view. No, Africans grew celebrating traditional marriages. We have our values. We have the things we respect in wedding ceremonies in Africa. You may take things like kola nut, you may take things like garden egg, some do granite paste, they send around. It depends on the community. Each community have their own perspective. You look at the in the Orient, like South Korea, they have their own perspective concerning wedding, and they have not adopted the white wedding. Indians have the way they wed. So we Africans definitely now, instead of embracing the white wedding from England, we instead almost erased our own traditional concept of wedding. Now, white wedding is European traditional wedding done in Africa. So we are doing two traditional weddings by doing what our tradition demands. We call it traditional marriage, and then we call it church wedding. That church wedding is European wedding. So we are practicing two cultures, thereby increasing the expenditure. That's unfortunately the fear of marriage these days sometimes is the cost, not even the absence of a wife. Because you say somebody say, me, I never first get my own for chop. Now for gather people them, feed them, of which if you took a bunch of plantain, you took a cake of palm wine, and you took a bottle of red oil, pepper, a chicken, you move into a girl's compound, the family sees that it is set to, they give you a wife. You realize that young men in those days could get married to 2 or 3 wives in the village because the cost of a woman was not as expensive as it is today.